There was a small little company that reached out to the Third Reich and said, hey, we need 150 participants for our clinical trial. The Nazi regime shipped 150 healthy Jewish women to this pharmaceutical company to test its products. Within 6 months, there's letters back to the Third Reich from this pharmaceutical company saying none of them made it through the initial phases of our trial.
So I'd just like to thank you for being here today. My co-host Robert Imbrielli will not be here. He may be back tomorrow. I'm not sure. I think he might be, but he's been busy. Got a lot to do on the ranch, closing that out, and so our friend and yours will be back here very, very soon with us. But while you're here, do me a favor: like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you also check that you are subscribed, even though you are subscribed, because we know Rumble's been booting people off of there left and right. So very important. Excuse me if I have a little froggy thing going on today. Just getting over something, but I will be fine. Also, remember to visit screwbiggov.com to access to all that we have to offer. Because the reality is, guys, is right now, it's been pointed out in the last few days, I think it was six or seven fake Screw Big Gov and Lewis Herms account are permeating everywhere. I mean, Rumble, Twitter, there's two on YouTube. They get demonetized, by the way. I don't. And so just know that if you want to get the real Screw Big Gov or Lewis Herms, just go to screwbiggov.com, and there's notification links that you could put when you scroll down there. So it's very important. Plus all the films we do and everything else. Now, Robert does for us also is he posts all the video clips that we use and don't use on the show onto his Telegram channel, Renegade Media channel. So if you love something and you want it in a shorter bite, just go to Renegade Media and download and share. All righty. Well, there's been a lot of talk, excuse me, about this Obama-produced film with Julia Roberts and some other suspects called Leave the World Behind. Now, when this first came out, there's a lot of patriots out there, and I understand where you're going. You thought this was disclosures. Remember, there's always a difference between disclosures and predictive programming. And the cabal, what they do is they want a predictive program because they don't manifest and they need you to do that for them. Therefore, they put out these images and things that they want to happen, and through fear, we manifest those for them. That's the purpose of what they do. Plus, they always have to tell on themselves. So if they do the predictive programming, this is their satanic BS where they're like, look at our karma's good. Believe it or not, they think they have karma. And therefore, they tell you, you opt into it. So, but a lot of people were saying, oh, these are disclosures. This is the white hat movie. I didn't believe it when it came out. And after I'm going to show you this next video, you might not believe it either. Now, the video is very low volume. So I'll watch the chat. If you guys want me to try to re-articulate something when it's done, I will. If not, just listen closely and pay attention. Very interesting on a hidden weapon with inside that film. That's what these people say. When you open this. So we'll dig into this more if more information comes up. I don't know who these people are. They sound very, very credible. And I've heard this technology before, so it's not the first time that we've heard that here. But I think it's something to definitely pay attention to, because that's scary as hell. We know for sure that they've been putting subliminal messaging in movies and marketing and songs since the 60s. So their capability is there. Their onus to do so is there because they've done it before. So we'll pay attention to this, but I think it is something that we definitely should watch for the future. All right, so I guess the big news is everybody's talking about the Epstein list being revealed, and there's a lot of websites out there. It's here, it's revealed. It's not out yet. I don't think it'll be out till the 22nd in full. They did release a huge document on it. It's like 747 pages. I haven't read that yet and probably will not. But the point is, but there is news here and things to pay attention because things are leaking out, and it's important that we go in on that. In fact, I'm going to pull up something here. I should have had it on my notes, but let me find it right here. There it is. Okay, let's pull up Sarah Ramson's picture, and I'll go into a couple things. So, this is Sarah Ramson. She's one of Jeffrey Epstein's in committing other nefarious acts and so on and so forth. So, this will be important to start paying attention to really what's coming out of this. The list, a lot of people think they know what's on it, but I think it's important. Now, the news that's really coming out, which we kind of knew, but it's really, really hitting hard now, is the implication of Bill Clinton and Epstein. How many times he's been there, so on and so forth. What happens though is there's a lot of information on this, but I'm going to tell you an interesting story, excuse me, directly related to Bill Clinton that I just happen to be involved in. It's God puts me in things years and years and years ago. I think this is almost 30 years ago or more, and now they become relevant today. So here's what's interesting. So Bill Clinton is friends with a guy named Ron Burkle. Now, who's Ron Burkle? So Ron Burkle is a guy, there's Bill Clinton, and Ron Burkle is a guy that actually owned some of the, on the West Coast, the largest grocery store chains that were out there. So he was worth a lot of money. He had an agenda though, and his agenda is he wanted to get into positions of influence into Hollywood. It's very interesting, isn't it? Sounds very Epstein-like, Les Wexner-like, but we'll see. I'm just going to give you the facts, and let me show you some things that are very interesting. So, anyways, what on the market came a property called Green Acres. That's right, not like the movie, but it's called Green Acres. It was the largest mansion in Beverly Hills. This was about 32 years ago, I say, approximately, somewhere around there. 30 years, a little bit more. Anyways, it was during the Clinton administration. So what Burkle did is his reason for getting this is because they would host the largest celebrity get-together charity with the major players in Hollywood and major politicians every single year, once a year. So he actually signed an agreement when he purchased this for godly amount of money back then. It would be probably worth hundreds of millions now. That he would hold this meeting, this charity every year. Doesn't sound like a big deal, right? But his agenda was to become an insider. Well, when he purchased this, I happened to work for a commercial drain cleaning and plumbing company, and myself and my buddy were the two managers and the two chief troubleshooters for this company. Well, his grocery stores happened to be our accounts. We were very known at us finding anything and tracking it down and taking care of business. So what he did is he called the owner of our company. He says, "I'd like Lewis, and I'll leave my friend's name out of this, and his buddy to come here, spend a week or 2 weeks on our property, and find anything that you could find that would be wrong or a challenge in regards to plumbing and drain cleaning." Why is that important? Because what he was trying to do is he was trying to reduce the amount, back charge what he was paying for the property. Now, this property is highly secured. And my buddy and I quickly found out that it was very suspicious because when we were there, his security team, he had a security detail that would follow us around every room. And he said, you have full access to this property. They'd follow us around in every room. And it got to be pretty annoying where I finally called Ron and I go, if you don't want it to cost you double, call off your dogs, put them back in their security box because they actually had a lifted box and a room there on the property. And I said, just let us do our job. I said, you brought us here for a reason. You have nothing to hide, right? Now, remember at the time, I had no idea about this guy. I had no idea about what was going on. So we're going through the property and we found some very interesting things, some cool things, some great decorations, and a few problems here and there. And then we hopped on. There's this, I guess, a full-sized playhouse for kids with a door about 3.5 feet tall. It was really, really small. We had to crawl in there because we were told there was actually live plumbing in there. Sure enough, there's a miniature working sink and a miniature working toilet inside this room. He had a full carousel for kids like you would find in any amusement park on the piers, New Jersey or Santa Monica, California, the full carousel with the horses and everything, like full on, full size. So we're like, okay, he entertains for kids. That's cool. We didn't think much of it. Then we're going around, and finally, since we got the security off our tail, we ended up finding a hidden entrance in the back of the property. So if you were to drive by the road, there would be bushes continually. You wouldn't think anything of it. But we found it from the inside, so we opened it, and sure enough, the bushes were attached to the fence and open up as a secret entrance that you can go through the back of the property, not just the front. This will come into play in a second. We kept going. And then if you look at the house here, I believe if you just look at the upper left corner of the house, right there, if I remember that's where it was, there was this huge, beautiful round library with bookshelves all the way up to the top. No big deal, right? Something like you would definitely see in the movies. They had the long walkway water just like in the movies. In fact, this house has been featured in films before. So, anyways, we're looking at it, and I told my buddy, I said, "Hey, look at this. It looks like there's a gap, very teeny gap between the shelves." And we're joking. We're like, "It's probably a hidden door, right? Let's see." So I press on it, and it clicks back at me because it had a magnet on it, and it opens. Guess what's behind there? A door. Okay, so we open it, and it goes downstairs. Now we find out later that we believe that this house may be directly connected through a tunnel to the Playboy Mansion. We're still trying to find that information out, but it looks that's at minimum plausible. So we go down, and we started to smell this huge stench of cedar. Now, cedar in a small amount is a wonderful smell, in my opinion. But both hallways were lined for about 40 feet in cedar bookshelves. Now, at the time, we were told that the previous owner had an obsession with shoes, right? I didn't mean bookshelves, I meant shoe shelves. So this is what that was for. It was empty when we were there. Now, I was told today by Michael Jacob that cedar is common to hide things like rotting body smell, things like that. Very interesting. I said, didn't think of it at the time. So I go in, my friend and I, they have a studio underground. They have all this little stuff. I believe they had it was a 1 or a 2 lane bowling alley in there. This is all underground, by the way, guys. Now remember, this is over 30 years ago. I didn't have a clue what I was looking at. We got down to the end, and there's a big, huge door, big steel door, and it looked like a door to be an entrance, but it had a combination lock on there. So clearly they were hiding something down, and it didn't feel like a normal safe. Even back then, we said, what is going on there? And we thought it was very, very eerie. And both of them were like, yeah, we got to get back up before they figure out we're down here. So to this day, they don't know that we were down there. Now, story gets even more interesting. So what happened later on, and this is why I believe it's a God thing. Later on, I was doing my regular business in construction, and I met a lady. And the lady happened to be the ex-wife of somebody extraordinary famous that everybody would meet. I'm not going to tell you who that is because I don't want to throw her under the bus because she gave me some information. I happened to tell her about this cool house. I don't know what came over me to tell her about this house that we're in, and she turned white. I said, "What's going on?" She says, "I was actually friends with Ron Burkle's wife, and guess what happened after that big party? Bill Clinton's Secret Service Team number 1 left. His Secret Service Team 2 came in, and Ron Burkle kicked his wife out. And this lady said, 'You go away for a week or two. We got things to do.' And sure enough, when they're leaving, what do they see ushered in through the back gate? A bunch of young girls. So this is just another connection to this sickening things. Now, this is a story that I've hesitated to tell in full. I've given bits and pieces before, because this Burkle guy is a powerful dude, and I know what he does to people. I know how people disappear, and the law fairy does. But you know what? We just can't not tell this story anymore because it directly connects to Bill Clinton, and I think it's very, very important. But that would also connect to Ron Burkle. Now, on a side note, in 2020, Ron were a tool. It wasn't a money-making operation for them. So why would they do that? Because they want to control the world. And how do they control? Is you control the elites by compromising them, blackmail, so on and so forth. There's many, 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 many reports now that in virtually every nook and cranny of Epstein's houses, properties, planes, everywhere, he had pinhole cameras, and they're recording everybody. That's what the operation was. It was all about recording. It's all about doing favors. So you hear, what about President Trump? We hear President Trump is implicated in this, and so on and so forth. Well, a couple things we have to understand. President Trump was a billionaire, right? President Trump 100% would have been on Epstein's target list. Therefore, what do? They offer him, hey, I'll fly you to New York, I'll fly you here, or we have this party here, or let's host this, right? Let's not forget, because there's a lot of people out there trying to connect President Trump with this, and I'm going to show you some stuff. Let's not forget that President Trump is the one guy that a decent agent actually said that President Trump was the only person that was giving us credible information. President Trump also kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, if I remember. So remember those things. Now, I'm going to read you a post, and it's where do I have it? It's a deposition. Let me bring it up here real quick. Excuse me for a second. Got a lot going on here, but I want to give you the correct information. All right, so I'm going to read this deposition to you. And this is by Miss Menninger. Question: Marvin Minsky? Question mark. Answer: I don't know that. George Lucas? No. Donald Trump? No. Did you ever massage Donald Trump? No. Did you ever see Donald Trump at Jeffrey's home? Not that I can remember. On his island? No. Not that I can remember. In New Mexico? No. Not that I can remember. In New York? No. Not that I can remember. All right, if you could turn to the second page and read through those, blah, 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 blah. So why is this important? Well, clearly, whoever was asking the questions, this was a hit on Donald Trump. Because they said Marvin Minsky, they said, I don't know that, they moved on. They said George Lucas, they said no, they moved on. With Donald Trump, they asked 5 or 6 repeating questions. So, but therefore he wasn't implicated on that. And then there's more information right now that says this is a complete witch hunt trying to attach President Trump to this. By the way, we've said this for the last few weeks, that this is exactly what they were going to try to do. But it doesn't look like it's going to hold, and there's more leaked documents that looks like that's completely false. Now, So then what I'm going to do here is I want to read to you, SG Anon had a great post, and it says, amidst all of the fervor surrounding the unsealing of Epstein documents in court, President Trump has doubled down hard on sharing reports compiled through specific analysis, examinations, and forensics, and witness testimony showing without question.
Need to have yet another show talk about the elections. Well, just to give you an idea of what happened to me is I had watched Tina Peters numerous times. This was back, for a year or so, her talking. And then one day, I heard her say something, and I went, wait, there's two sets of books. Wait a minute, what? So I contacted her, had her on my show, and then I said, I need to get in this game. I need to get in this game because I'm a state committee man. I'm a precinct committee man here in Arizona. So I'm boots on the ground. I'm behind the scenes, in front of the camera, and literally here grassroots. So I'm involved. So I said, I need to really understand. So I was heavily pitching the primaries, having all the candidates on. And then here in the primaries in Arizona, a lot of the people that ran in the primaries that were the true grassroots that I was friends with didn't win. And there's no way that they could have not won based on the support on the ground. So it wasn't just a speculation. It's signs, it's conversations, it's people that we knew, and it was a lot of them. So we knew something was up, but we didn't know really what was up. And then I saw Ronna McDaniel and Cleta Mitchell constantly on Steve Bannon telling everybody to go ahead and become a not precinct committee man, because God forbid they should ever want that. They don't want us in those positions. They were telling people to become poll workers, poll watchers, never told you where to go, never told you what to do, and they never distinguished between the two of them, and there's a huge difference. And then, so I called the RNC, and I called the county, and next thing you know, I'm an election judge at the Islamic Center here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and it's been a cluster F ever since, because there was stuff that I saw there, obviously, and then there was things that happened, obviously, afterwards. And I didn't shut my mouth. I almost got thrown out 3 times. The supervisor from offsite, whoever that may be, threatened to terminate me, amongst other things, on the phone. He was hunting me down. And I won't go into that story. I've talked about it for a year. But anyway, so the point of the story is I thought that before the election, on the 9th, we were going to go back to normal on the show. We were going to talk about marketing. We could put the community stuff on the side. We didn't have to talk politics for a couple of months. That never happened. So here I am. What I decided to do was, because of what I saw happen and then everything that transpired afterwards, I said, I'm going to take a deeper dive and see what happened. And that was November 9th. Well, when I came home at 9 o'clock at night, I got on 2 shows, Bright T on TV and AGN, told them what happened, went by play on what I saw, and commented on what they were asking questions on. And it's been every single day, and I'm not exaggerating, it's literally every single day. Every single show that I have, every single show that I go on, I talk about it. So anyway, my websites that I want you to go to is savemyfreedom.us. Savemyfreedom.us. This is my sign. So this is a sign. This is a sign. Okay, this is a sign. I got to put something back because you should always use 2 sides. Savemyfreedom.us. Savemyfreedom.us. Now, this is a sign of somebody who does the work. Notice my fingers. They're not manicured. They don't look like many politicians or candidates, because I don't have time to get them done nor the money to get them done. So these are the signs of people that do the work, okay? Not like anything that you see nice and shiny, like people who make millions of dollars running for office. And that's running to the bank, okay? You're running to the bank when you run for office. Campaigns are money laundering operations. End of story. So I want you to go to that and sign up. That's the Substack, but there's also all of our websites are intertwined to that. So when you go on there, you're going to see all the tabs, and that gives you all the information. And we're going to talk about the people's 5-point plan to take back Arizona, America, and our unconstitutional elections towards the end. And we're going to dive in here to talk about some of the specifics. So this investigation has taken a while, only because I wasn't allowed to get the information in a timely manner, because when I went down to MTech, which is the tabulation center here at the county, Arizona, which is Mayor Corruption County, Anarchy, Arizona, you're only allowed to go 4 hours at a time. And then when you go in and put your request, it has to be after you've completed. You can't do anything in advance, because that's how they do it. They like to do that. Rather than just knocking it out in like a couple days, right? Because I'm like, I'll sleep over. I don't care. Let's just knock this out. No. So I went down 7 times. And I was able to bring some different people with me each time. One was one person. Sometimes I went by myself. So I took pictures of the actual tapes, which is the recorded record of the election. Okay, so before we go into that, Twitter. I want you guys to follow us on Twitter. You're going to follow me, which is my old name, Everything Home T with a T. And then you're going to follow Leo, which is LCD Law 1. So because of how we're working this out, most of the original tweets are going to come from him. And then I'm going to forward, I retweet them. And then I'm trying to do a couple in between. It's just that time-wise, based on what I'm doing for the research now and compiling the information, there's not enough time. So that's the problem I have. I don't have enough time. There's not enough hours in the day, and this is all I'm doing. So if you look for the past week and a half, we've been posting information. And the video that we did, which was actually my show on Friday, we condensed it down to about 28 or 30 minutes, which was awesome. In 48 hours, it had 450,000 views, which means people are paying attention. I just want to thank everybody that pushed it out, because not a lot of big names, people with big followings, pushed it out. The real people did, which was awesome to see that happen. So that's great. That means that people are wanting the truth and they want to know what's going on. Because not only this is what's going on in Arizona, this is going to explain how your elections actually operate and the process that's supposed to happen. You're going to learn the process that's supposed to happen, and then you're going to see what did happen. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, this is like 3%. There's still 97% to show you. We're going to show you everything. Every single center. There's 223 centers. You're going to see everything that happened at every single center, every single document, and every single log. You're going to see, we're going to bring you to everything because you've not seen it before, which is just mind-blowing to me. So the thing is we've had to watch this play out since November of 2022. And we haven't been able to bring forward a lot of this stuff because some of it we didn't have access to it in a timely manner, just because, like I said, explain part of their process to go down there and take photos of that stuff. Some of the other things we just got recently, that's okay, because I didn't ask for it till later. But we had to watch all this stuff happen. I've had to keep my mouth shut. I've dropped little nuggets. I think I've mentioned a couple people, like, a little off behind the scenes. I might have said something to Lewis when he was on my show twice. But other than that, I've had to keep my mouth shut. So now now we're releasing everything, but it's going to take time because there's so much. Okay. So did I cover everything that I was supposed to cover? I got no sound. So I heard you click something.
We're good.
There you go.
We're good.
Okay.
So let's get into it. I know people are excited and whatever. What we're going to do is just, if you name the document, Lisa's in the background, she'll pop it up.
Okay. So the information that I'm going to show to you today, and I'm going to explain, and what I want you to do, Lewis or Lisa, if you guys have any questions, or if I say something that I might abbreviate something, and I always try to say the full phrase, word, because we love to abbreviate here in Arizona, because they always want to hide stuff from everybody. So interrupt me. So you just stop me at any point, especially if you have a question, because I want this to be as clear as possible for people. Because once you just, it's going to be easier when you think of it this way. I just want you to use common sense. Okay. The math, when it comes to this, is not, and you don't need to know anything about computers. You don't need to know anything about elections. You don't even need to know fancy words. You just need to use checkbook math, which is addition and subtraction. You don't need to, the counting with this column and that column. You don't even need to multiply anything, okay? Nice. So this is very simple. The elections are actually very simple if you follow the law and because you're just counting, like 1, 2. It's not that hard, right? How many people check in? How many people casted a ballot? Count the ballots. And we're going to talk about that in a second. I want Lewis to read something. It's kind of awesome when the host reads it and then the light bulb. You see, I like to see the expression on their face when they read it and hit the spot. So what we're going to do is I'm going to explain to you the information you're going to see today is a breakdown of what we discussed on our show last Friday, which is episode 231 on Rumble. So I know all you follow, you're probably watching this, a lot of you on Rumble. So if you go to Save My Freedom on Rumble and you subscribe, then you can go, my shows are numbered. If you see it live, I have 2 channels and they're looping live, so you constantly have contact. But when you see a number sign, that means it's a standalone episode. So the episode from Friday is 231. So you're going to watch that once or twice, and then you're going to get it, and then you're going to get pissed off. I need you to get pissed off, because then you're going to take action. Other than that, you can get mad all you want, and we'll be right here where we are in 6 months from now. Okay, so pull up number 6, PBR. So this is called a precinct ballot report. Now, this is the auditing checklist, basically, for the election. Now, I'm an election judge. Now, if you notice that big black box at the bottom, they redacted the signatures, okay? They're not supposed to do that when they give it to us. Now, because, and you're saying, well, Michelle, they need to do that. That's not what the law says. And you're going to see the signatures. I redacted the signatures that are on the tally tapes. So the tally tapes are a record, a paper record of all the votes that were cast on the machines. The machines are the tabulators. Now, if you notice, that was blacked out. Now, on my center, I signed that, okay, because I was a judge. So I had to sign things, and I had certain duties, and certain duties were not done that I didn't know about, okay? And this is, so there's 223 voting centers in Maricorruption County. For those of you who aren't catching on to the Maricorruption, it's called Maricopa County, okay? So it is the most evil, demonic, and it is a testing cesspool for all crime, fraud. With that being said, and I know that you know that because you've watched the movie The Cages, and Lewis has informed you, and he's even come to the Maricorruption County Board of Supervisors meeting, so he's seen it firsthand. So this is a precinct ballot report. There's 223 voting centers, which means that anybody can come in from anywhere in the county, and they can vote at that center, okay? It used to be the precincts, which is the only way to actually have something that you can control when it comes to auditing or monitoring. Obviously, that's by design, because then they can do lots of things when you have multiple people coming in from all over the precincts, and you're having 12,000, I believe it's 12,830 some ballot types that can be through the machine, combinations. So, but that's irrelevant. Don't worry about that. So anyway, this is a precinct ballot report. Now, if you look at the top, it says Central Christian Church, Gilbert. The reason why this stood out from us when we first got these precinct ballot reports, and I first got these precinct ballot reports 6 days after I made the request. Okay, the reason why I'm telling you this.
Is that normal, by the way? To wait
The time frame?
Yeah, 6 days.
I thought that was pretty quick.
Yeah, me too.
Well, it's probably normal. So when everyone says, oh, it took months to get it, I'm like, mine was 6 days. So all I'm comparing it is to personal experience. So everything that I'm going to share with you, I have, it's personal, and I can back it up. Like if somebody wanted to, oh, Michelle, I don't believe you. I can show you the email. It was 6 days. I made the request in, I think it was April, and I got them 6 days later. It was April, yeah. So, or it was March or April, doesn't matter. But that's when I first got them. So I was going through this precinct ballot reports. And what jumped out at me is if you can see where it says closing polls, it's in red. It's on the left-hand side in the middle. Now, the tabulator. There's supposed to be 2 tabulators at each center. You have an A, and you have a B. Well, we're opposite. So A and B. Now, tabulator 1 on here, they write it as tabulator 1. It's actually not. It's A. And then B is 2. Okay, so B and 2. A is 1. And as if anyone who's watched the show, now if you've watched the trials and stuff, Scott Jarrett, who is the elections director for Maricorruption County, said there was 446 tabulators, which is interesting because we found, as of right now, 25 additional ones that nobody has ever talked about, and they're not even documented, okay? So, and we're going to show you an extra one that showed up here, but we're also going to show you where it did not show up. So the reason why this jumped out at us from the very beginning, and us meaning Leo D'Onofrio, he's the attorney that I've been working with since the 17th of November of last year, 2022, not 2023. So if you notice above the 1802, now what the poll workers, who's ever watching the machine or closing down the machines at night, there is a number on the top or on the front. It's called the public counter. Okay, so every time you put your ballot in the tabulator, and for those of you that aren't in Arizona, we check in with the site poll book, which is a computer, and then a printer prints out your specific ballot for your precinct. You grab your precinct, you go fill in the circles, the ovals, then you go stand in line, if there is one, and then you put the ballot through the machine, and then it's supposed to make a ding, 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 that your vote went through, and then you look on the counter, and it's supposed to go up, okay? And then you look and you say, okay, I voted. Not every time. So the thing that jumped out originally was if you look, I said at the end of the night, the poll worker is supposed to write down the number on the front of the machine, which is on that display called the public counter. Now, if you notice, they wrote 1802. And above that, there's a number that says 751, and it's crossed out. Now, this poll worker was very smart, and they happened to look at the vote on the tape. Now, I don't want you to worry about tabulator 2. We got tons of stories for that, but right now we're just going to focus on 1. So that, according to the machine, it said it has 1,802 votes that have gone through the machine that counted. And we won't go into specifics because when we get to that at another show, the language matters. Now, language matters in all of this, but we're not going to, I want you to just look at this portion stuff for now. So if you can pull up, now keep in mind, the machine said 1802. That's on the front. It's called the public counter. Pull up number 9. Now, number 9 these are called tally receipts. There's supposed to be 1 per tabulator. Sometimes in these vote centers, there's been 2. Sometimes there's been 3. Sometimes there's been 4. Sometimes there's been 1. Sometimes there's been 0. Okay? Of the 223. We have all that logged and all verified and all photos of everything. So this particular one, if you look at the top, it tells you the vote center, tells you the name, Central Christian Gilbert, and it tells you the vote cast or voters. Remember, I said language matters, but I don't want to concentrate on that right now. Louis, read the number of total votes cast and voters.
1051, 1051.
Okay. So what is 1802 minus 1051? 751.
751.
Okay. So that's a problem, people.
Yep.
So right now, the tabulator, it's tabulator A, tabulator 1, has logged in 1,051 votes. The public counter on the front says 1802. So the reason why we knew that this center had some stories to it is because the 1802 and that 751. Okay, so then when I was able to go down there, I was like, woohoo, we're going to go Central Christian Gilbert. This is going to be fun, right? So I'm like, oh, whoa, okay. So now I have all the copies of all the tally receipts. I look at the votes and we're like, oh, this is interesting. Now this is called an anomaly. Now back in 2021, a very smart poll worker, notice this is in Williamson County, Tennessee. For those of you who've been following all this stuff, it's called the Williamson County anomaly. Basically, what happened was the poll worker noticed that the machine said 300, and I'm off on the numbers, but it's close. It's the same story here. The numbers were 300 on the machine, the public counter, but the vote that you're going to see on that, same thing on that tally receipt, which is the printed paper, was only 89. So they're like, hey, what's going on here? Well, then they got an investigation. Dominion did an investigation. Now, these are Dominion machines. Keep in mind, they named it Dominion because God gave us dominion over the land, and the Dominion doesn't want us to have dominion over the land. That's why they named the machines Dominion. If someone tells you anything else, then they need to start reading their Bible. Okay, so that's a little side note. So with that being said, they did an investigation. The EAC, the Pro V&V, all of the big names in the government and all of the people that are, they know everything about investigations and elections and they're the professionals. They did an investigation. Nobody could figure out why this happened. They have no idea why it happens. But what they determined was when a provisional ballot is not supposed to be run through these machines. Okay? Provisional ballots are the ones that go in the envelope. And when you get a provisional ballot, it means that there's something wrong with your voting record or registration when you go to check in that doesn't match. There's something off. It could be something simple. It could be a mistake. So what that means is you're not going to get a regular ballot at the polls. They're going to give you a provisional ballot. Then the ballot is then put in an envelope. So you don't get to put the ballot through the machine. So then that ballot will then be counted or looked at or adjudicated, reviewed by somebody at the county, MECTEC, which is the county center, central count. That's what they call it. There are different names for it. So then somebody's going to review it because there's something off. So they just need to check, right? So those ballots do not go through the machine. And you get a different ballot. So you know that it's supposed to go in an envelope. So what this investigation determined that when a provisional ballot or markings that are like a provisional ballot. So something with the markings on the tabulator, or not on the ballot, because there's markings on the top, there's markings on the side, and there's marking on the bottom on both sides. That's the computer code, and there's also a QR code. So all that code, right? So what they determined was that something in those codes and or a provisional ballot, when it runs through the machine, it triggers the machine kind of goes crazy, it spits out the ballots, and then what happens is for an undetermined amount of time, the ballots that go afterwards, when they're put in, you put the ballot in, this means you're putting a ballot in, because we had to do it like 5, 10, 15 times sometimes here in Arizona. So when you put the ballot in, what happens is it goes through, the machine goes ding, ding. It's like it counted, drops it down into the big box. The number on the top goes up. The number on the counter, which is that vote you're going to see there, and I'm going to mention the protective counter in a second, that number doesn't change. Okay, so it's a known issue. They don't know why it happens, but it happens. Okay, so that same thing that happened in Williamson County, that was a huge investigation, this is a proof that it happened here. Something similar, but could be exactly the same. But there was a workaround. Dominion issued a PAN, which I want you to pull up. PAN, I think is, hold on. And if you need clarification, I want this to try to be as simple as possible. 18.
Number 18.
18, thank you. So I got, it's behind something. So 18. So what Dominion did, and through their big investigation, now if you look at the date on there, it's February of 2022. They let the people know, the election professionals, the counties and things like that. Now, if you read the second part, and as you can see on the top, it says Dominion, says the date. This is a product advisory notice. So they sent, it's like a car, it's like a recall. When you get a recall, they notify you, they tell you either come and get it fixed or what to do to avoid the problem or notice the problem, okay? So it's just like any other product, just happens to be a voting machine. It's called a tabulation machine. So if you look on the bottom there, what does that say, the top, the line that's underlined, Lewis?
It is important to note in all circumstances.
And that says all, right?
All.
And all means, in your opinion, all means any and every, right?
Everything.
Okay, now what does the first bullet point say?
The public counter displayed on the LCD screen matches the number of ballots in the ballot box.
Whoa. Okay. So by using Dominion own information from the investigation they did and comparing this to a known issue that was very highly broadcasted and talked about, and obviously they did an investigation. Many companies were involved with this, similar to Williamson County. If you're using that math, then guess how many ballots should be in that box according to the precinct ballot report that we looked at earlier? 1802.
That's right.
Okay? So that's why this jumped out at us right from the beginning. Now, this is one of many. Again, this is one center of 223. Now, the rest of the stuff I'm going to show you is on about a 3 to 5% wow factor compared to all the information that we have coming. So this is just, when I say tip of the iceberg, I mean the very, very top. Very, very top. So Abe Hamadeh, this is for the Attorney General's race, he's down like 280 votes, okay? Now, this center, this is just one tabulator. There's supposed to be 446. We found an additional 25. So 446 plus 25, that's how many tabulators that we know of so far, okay? That means that there's votes in those tabulators, right? So with that being said, he has lost the results. Okay, there's a difference. This is how our elections work. There's a vote, and then there's the results. Rarely do the two match. Okay, just look at 2020. So 1802, he won this center and this tabulator by a 75 to 25%. Okay, because we have this, I have the tape. I have video of the tape, so you can see, Abe, you can see the top to the bottom of the tape on both of them. So there's not like, oh, Michelle, what was the picture in between? No, it's a video. We did a video, so you can see the whole thing. So on this particular tabulator, he won 75 to 25. So now if you take that math, and you have 751 ballots that are sitting in that box that were not on that sheet, that is a official a record of the election, Abe wins by like 100 and some odd votes because he gets the extra 280 plus he picks up the 75% of that. He won. This is proof that he won his election. The results, not the vote. We already know he got the vote. We're proving that he won the results with this one tabulator at one center.
Wow.
Okay? Now, the other thing I wanted to show you was this. Okay? So,
Before you continue, has Abe seen this?
well, he's been sent the information. I know that a lot of people have tagged him. Some people have reached out to me that I'm kind of surprised at what their reaction was. So I don't have proof that he's read it, but you guys can go ahead and do the math, okay?
Right.
So with that being said, I mean, it got 400, the video got 450 views, and I lost track of how many, and that was in 48 hours.
450,000 views.
450,000 views in 48 hours. And then the amount, because we've been posting for a week, all this information, and he's been tagged. So, okay, I'm just going to, I'll leave it there. I'm not here to point fingers, right? Because this is how that works. I'm just here to provide facts and truth, because the people of Arizona and the country, it's time that you heard it, okay? So now, remember I told you there was 25 tabulators that magically showed up? Now this particular center, as I told you, I have both tapes. There's tabulator A, tabulator B. I videotaped every single tape. And I looked back through the tapes just to make sure I didn't miss a photo when we were going through, because there's certain sections that we take photos of. There's only 2 tabulators. Okay? But when I got the slog files, now the slog files are the system log files. You've probably heard people talk about these slog files, and they take so long to analyze, and you have to go through, and you've got to be a computer genius, and the teams are doing it round the clock. In 5 minutes, when I got the slog files, I found that there was a third tabulator on the center. It took me 5 minutes, okay? So I'm going to show it to you, and I'm going to show you how it appeared. And I'm going to show you, which is something to be very concerned with. Now, well, what I want you to do is pull up number 8, and I want you to look at the number that is listed on there. Now, number 8, this is a copy of the tape, right? There's a tape. This section of the tape is going to be the protective counter. Now, probably never heard protective counter, but it's kind of a big deal. Now, the protective counter on these tabulators are like odometers. They don't go down. They only go up. So when you start the actual election, you print out a 0 report, which shows you that there are no votes cast on this tabulator, but it shows you the lifetime votes that are cast on this tabulator, which is called your protective counter open. Now, if you look on there, it gives you a number, right? So that's when you start you open the election. It tells you the time. You'll see that it's like 5 or 6 something. I can't read, it's too small. But you'll see a serial number, right? So you'll see a serial number, and it starts with a VAL or a FAL or a VAL. And like I said, it's so small. So if you could read the last 4 digits of that serial number for me, Louis, please.
God, good luck with that. Let me see. Oh, I can increase mine size here too.
Yeah, I'm going to do mine.
I have it in a different screen. It's 0465.
Okay, and now the protective counter number is 282. Okay, so that means there was 228 votes cast on this tabulator prior to this election for the lifetime of this tabulator. Again, this is like an odometer. It cannot go down. Okay, it cannot go down. And I will share after I show this, and I want you to remember that. They cannot go down. They can only increase. So if you looked at it, see the black thing, the black part is where I blacked out the signatures. So remember I showed you before they blacked out the signatures?
Right.
For me, but they showed me these. You have to ask why. Why would they black out one and not the other when it's usually the same people?
Right. Absolutely.
Maybe because they don't want me to compare them?
Yep.
I don't know. I'm just saying. You guys do your own math. So I blocked those out to protect the people, even though I didn't have to. It's not against the law to show those, but they don't need to get dragged into this. So now the last 4 digits were 0465, I believe, right?
0465.
Okay. Now pull up number 12. Pull up number 12. Now, when you look at number 12, When I pulled up the slog piles, I told you within 5 minutes, I realized there's a third tabulator that showed up at this poll place. Now, when a tabulator shows up, it's supposed to be the physical machine. It's also, according to Arizona statutes, which is law, it's supposed to come with the whole bin, like a production. Like you've got a full-on new piece of like entourage of equipment coming in, okay? So that's what's supposed to happen. So if you look on there, see where it says machine serial number, it's the second one highlighted. Read the last 4 digits of that number.
0183.
Now, was that similar to the first one that you saw?
No, I think the other one was 0465.
0465. Right.
Yeah.
So that means this is a different tabulator because the serial numbers on the tabulator are like a VIN number on the car. They
Yep.
don't change, okay? Because the VIN number, the serial number is attached to the actual physical machine. The memory cards where they put them in, right? Those are attached to whether it's tabulator A or tabulator B, okay? And the vote is on that memory card. So what they did is they took the memory card out of the first tabulator, stuck it in this one, and then the beauty of these system logs is that they track everything, okay? It's like a toddler repeating after everything you say, and you're just like, you've got to watch what you say because it keeps track. It's like a little tape recorder. That's what slog files are. And you can search through things very easily by Control F. And if you know what words you're looking for, you can knock this stuff out, which is what we've been doing. This is why we found so much stuff that we haven't even told you guys yet. That's what I'm saying. It's going to get, piss is not the word to describe. All right, so now if you notice, the tabulator has shown up, okay? This is not in those tally receipts. There's no record of it. The first time I saw it was when I went into the slog files, which I got those about, I think, a month ago. So pull up number 13. Oh, number 13. Now, in this, the last part of the highlighted part, this is the default. So when as part of the system, it says conditional point element, print interrupt tape. Now, when you have a tabulator that comes in during the middle of an election, it alerts the people that there is a new tabulator coming in. It says, by the way, there's a warning, and it says this amount of votes is on this tabulator already, exclamation point. The machine yells at you when you do bad things. Or you do things that aren't normal to the machine. It's amazing. This slog file it's dangerous in a good way for the American people, okay? So it says print interrupt tape. That's the default. So it's supposed to print the part of that long strip of tape, and there's supposed to be one whole tape per tabulator, okay? And I want you to keep that in mind. Well, the reason I'm telling you that's because of the picture that we're going to show after this. One long tape. It has your open information, it has your vote, and then it has your closing, because it's going to give you a protective counter when the election is finished after your vote. So your protective open plus your vote should equal your protective counter, because again, it's a lifetime record of how many votes were cast on the machine. It's a fraud prevention measure. But when the protective counter is not at those two added together, it doesn't mean it's off by that many votes. That means that somebody, either a human being or machine, has gone into that machine, has manipulated the results, and they didn't balance it out on the sides. So just because it is off by one doesn't mean it's off by one vote. It's just a trigger to let you know somebody came in here and changed stuff. And it's a measure. And it needs to be done. Because if this law was followed, then when they counted the votes that night at that particular tabulator, they would have counted 1802 rather than not counting the votes at all. So there would have been a lot of things that wouldn't have happened if they followed this law. So go ahead and read the top, and then as you read this, like through the second sentence, you'll know where to stop.
Opening, exhibiting, and locking ballot box before receipt of ballots. Removal and opening of box. A. Before receiving any ballots, the election board, in the presence of the persons assembled at the polling place, shall open, exhibit, and lock the ballot box, and thereafter it shall not be removed from the polling place. Yada, 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 yada.
Right, but it said it had to count the votes before it left the building.
That's right.
Okay? So if this did not happen at any of the 223 vote centers in Arizona. Because if it did happen, then the amount of votes that left the building would have been done. Okay? You would have known what the amount is. So they have no record of how many votes left each voting center at that night. So I left the voting center at 9 o'clock at night because my inspector said we're pretty much done here, and the ballots hadn't left the building yet. Okay, so that leads to another thing. So if these ballots aren't leaving the building to 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, how could you call a race at 7? How could you call a race at 8? How could you give any statistics? Those numbers are coming from your mail-in ballots in advance. Okay, this is not a speculation. This is math. Okay,
Right, absolutely.
because they haven't left the building yet. I left at 9. I didn't think that it was going to be that nefarious that I should have come home and then went back and followed the truck. I didn't think that. It's the one thing I regret doing, but it doesn't matter. We have all this stuff now. But that would have been kind of interesting and fun. So at 9 o'clock at night, the ballots hadn't left the building. So I left, right? Because my inspector said, everything's done. We're just going to wrap up a few things. We're going to wrap up a few things. And then the ballots get transported to like a meeting place and blah, blah, blah. But they were never counted. Now, we were also told to not count the drop-off ballots that people were dropping off that weren't put in the machines. Those were told not to be counted. What? So now everybody that dropped in their ballot, in their envelope, their mail-in only, it's just the dumbest thing, people. You cannot do that anymore. And hopefully the information that we're going to be bringing to you today and over the next couple of months, because it's going to take that long to show you everything, will change your mind about our elections and explain it all to you and realize you don't have elections. And certainly do not be nailing in ballots. And you do not harvest. I can go on for days about that. But so with the ballots, again, they have to be counted. They weren't counted. They didn't count the ones that were dropped off that day. So we have no record of the ballots that have left that building. Okay? People don't know this because no one's telling you. This is something simple. Keep in mind that law right there, 16-564. Because it's a non-technical statute, which is one law alone.
Yeah, I agree. I think this
Well,
is
that's it. It's right there. You have no idea.
The most powerful thing right here.
Now, I'm going to share with you another one. Now, I didn't do a graphic for it because I just haven't had time. My problem is time because all I'm doing is this. There's only so much hours in a day when I do nothing else but this. But I'm going to pull this other one and I'll read it to you real quick, unless you want to pull it up. It's ARS 16-602. I'm going to pull it up here. So bear with me. 16-602. Oh, I don't want that one.
We're not seeing that on our end.
Okay, so you did that one. I got it here. Just give me a second, because this
Okay.
one's important too.
No worries. Folks, while she's looking for that, just notice the 16-564, the law that Michelle already showed us. In essence, it's saying that they cannot remove these locked ballot boxes and thereafter and really count them someplace else. They have to be counted where they are.
Yeah.
And you're saying not one of them was counted where
No.
they are.
I can't account for the other counties, but I can account for. But the other,
right.
I don't know what happened in the other county. We've only focused on Maricopa election. The core of it's here.
Got it.
I highly doubt we can. I mean, if I had the time, I could contact them and ask poll workers, but I don't. So Maricopa County is the county that matters when it comes to this information, right? So it did not happen here at 223 vote centers, which means that this election should have been set aside. Now, the other one that I want to bring to your attention, only because I am included in this, and it matters too. This is this one I believe is also a non-technical statute. Okay, 16602. Removal of ballots from ballot boxes, disposition of ballots folded together or excessive ballots, designated margin, hand counts, vote count verification committee. That's the title. Okay. A, for any primary, special, or general election in which the votes are cast on an electronic voting machine or tabulator, which is our machines, the election judge, which is me, and there's two of us there, okay? I was a judge, shall compare the number of votes cast, which you just saw the number of votes cast on the machine. You saw the number of votes that actually went through the tabulator, shall compare the number of votes cast as indicated on the machine or tabulator with the number of votes cast as indicated on the poll list and the number of provisional ballots cast, and the information shall be noted in a written report prepared and submitted to the officer in charge of elections along with other tally reports. Okay? So the amount of the poll list is the list of people that checked in to vote. So if you wanted to balance your books, and again, you don't need to, this has nothing to do with elections. Again, I told you what, subtraction and addition. So if you want to know and make sure that the amount of people that checked in, which it's required here, it's called a poll list, and the number of people in provisional ballots, that's the one that I told you that you put in the envelope, so just put that on the side, but it'll count towards the total. But the meat of this is the amount of people that checked in should match the number of votes that were indicated on the tabulator, which should be matching the one that's in there. But if you counted the physical ballots, you would know there was a discrepancy. If you then counted and saw the poll list that said there was 802 voters plus the 289, right? So say it's the two together. Then you'd say, well, wait a second. These numbers don't match. Well, then, oh, that's right. We're supposed to count them all. Okay? I've never seen a poll list. I was not asked to do that chore or that task. Again, I've never seen a poll list from any tabulation center. It's not included on that. If you notice that precinct ballot report,
Right.
the elections procedures manual has 8 data points that are required in order to actually audit an election. Now, audit's a fancy word. That just means one column or one is supposed to match the other. Just like the 1802 should match the amount of ballots in the physical box. Okay? That's called an audit. Otherwise, don't think it's something really, really fancy. It's not. Like how many marbles are in your left hand, how many marbles are in your right hand. This is not just, but they always try to make it complicated. This is not. That's why I want you to understand this is really simple. Anybody that tells you things are complex or comprehensive is doing that on purpose because they don't want you to know how simple it really is. So this was another violation. The fact that there was no record of this polling. Now you would think that shouldn't that be on that sheet that I showed you earlier that has the data points? Now, I don't know if I finished this, but the elections procedures manual for the state of Arizona has 8 data points on their required precinct ballot report. Okay, and they call it a different name, but we'll just stick with that. Now, here's the number that Maricopa County uses on that sheet. Ready? What am I holding up?
Two.
2 out of 8. You can't audit that. You can't compare. Let's not use the word audit. That's too fancy.
Right.
You can't compare. You can't compare. You can't compare. And then if you take out, well, we're not going to count and verify how many people checked in, which is 16-602, and 16-564. We're not going to count the ballots. So we're going to trust what the county's results are? You have nothing to back it up. Nothing. Again, this is the tip, the very, very tip of the iceberg.
So, other than the proof and the disclosure, which is absolutely paramount, what are the remedies? Because when I go to people that we think or should be paying attention to this, they slough it off. And I know you didn't say it, but I have a feeling that's what you're indicating with Abe Abade.
Well, I haven't handed it to him personally. Leo hasn't handed it to him personally, but I know it's out there, and I know that people have. I know it's out there. Okay. Here's another thing that I want people to understand. All of the documents that I'm showing you are public information. Anybody on the flat Earth could have requested. Did you catch that one?
Yeah.
Could have requested.
You only lost
these
half
documents.
our audience on that one.
I'm just kidding. Okay, well it's round. I don't care. I don't care, guys. It's at this point, focus on the election because you don't have election.
I tell them it's toroidal anyway, so don't worry about it.
It doesn't matter at this point. Put a mask on. I know this is a non-mask wearing audience. So with that being said, there is all all this information could have been requested by anybody in the world. Okay? Anybody could have got this. And here's the cost to acquire it. Ready?
Zippo, the big goose
Okay,
egg.
so these are public documents, public records requests. I did saving 15 months of my time and energy and life. That I'll never get back. And I did not earn money from that, right? But the cost to acquire all these documents are zero. Okay? 15-56 or 16-564. The law, the Arizona Revised Statutes that Lewis read, said it is against, that law was violated. They did not count the ballots. I didn't say tabulate. I didn't say calculate how many votes each person has. The physical piece of paper needs to be counted before it leaves the building.
Yep.
In the presence of all the people there, which includes myself. I didn't know this law existed. I relied on the inspector who's above us that runs the operation to let us know this was part of the process, because I honestly don't remember reading this in our manual that we had to count the ballots. See, there's things left out of these manuals. Again, here's how it works. You have the Arizona Revised Statutes, which is the law legislators make. Then you have the Elections Procedures Manual, which is created by the Secretary of State, which is another set of guidance and rules. And then each county has their own manual. And what I have seen is if you go down, it gets diluted, and there's less and less and less checks and balances and more violations as you go down. Mm-hmm. More violations down, less and less checks, balances is down. Mm-hmm. Okay? So again, this entire election should have been set aside in November of 2022. Just on that one law, not including everything else. Yeah. And 16-602, because there is no record of the poll list, and that should have been checked too. And that's just one of what's coming.
Wow. Awesome. Okay, so now we take the information and we need to put it in front of the people that have been egregiously handled, like supposedly Carrie Lake, Abe, and so on and so forth. And now I would say that we need to hold their feet to the fire.
Mm-hmm. Hold them accountable.
Say, why aren't you talking about this? What's going on? And I'm saying everybody in the audience right now. That's what. Let Michelle do a little bit more work. But that one law
there's
alone,
much more coming. One law alone.
Yeah, one law alone. If you just send that one law alone and start putting the heat on and the pressure on, and in the one is it called a precinct where you are?
Well, everyone has precincts that they live in, but this is a voting center. Okay, so this is called voting center. So this one particular voting center shows proof that Abe has enough to win the election, the results, by this one voting center. So what the thing is, and again, by living through this for the past 15 months, and doing all the rest of the things that I do with my show, and again, I want to give you the worst information in the planet, and you might think it's horrible. And it's going to shock a lot of people, but this is truth. You can do this yourselves, guys. You can request the same documents. You're going to get the same piece of paper. Okay? Again, it is checkbook math, means addition and subtraction. So, but I'm going to give you the solution. Always. No matter what it is that you just see in front of you, I literally provide a solution to it. That's what I was able to create. And plus, in it, like having conversations with people on air, off air, being here, grassroots, boots on the ground, I was able to put together the people's 5-point pray, plan, take action strategy to take back Arizona, America, and our unconstitutional elections, which literally is it starts with Reelect God 2024, right? Because you're going to need it's a turn back, take back, and do a 180. So you got to turn back to God, because you are dealing with people, shall I say, entities that are running these elections in all different capacities, people that are in the political system, you name it. You cannot do these things and be a human being. There's no way. You cannot sleep at night because there's so much more that I'm going to show you that you're going to stay the same thing. If you're not catching it already and getting on the same page, that these people that are they're not fully human anymore, because you can't do this kind of evil, because this is not just about Abe not winning. This is about your sacred right to choose your representatives through your vote. It is your responsibility to hold your elected people accountable. Your administrators, your legislators, people running for office. Again, what are they running for? They're running to the bank. Okay, they're running to the bank, every single one of them. Trump is the only one that gets a carve out. He is separate. Everybody else is under this category. Every single person could have done this in the country. In the country. You don't have to even be a politician, right? So I'm saying this information is not hidden.
So Michelle, I
About
I
Abe. You want
I
to take
understand.
action for Abe?
Well, no, I understand our audience is plural across the board, and with everybody held in here, which is great. But we live in a TikTok society. Can you summarize in less than 3 minutes on a video something that would be so impactful to get people to send it around? Because one thing I am noticing, which is kind of cool, is the younger generations now standing up
Great.
in our favor. And they're saying, hey, this isn't right. We don't want this for our future. So a short little reel or TikTok video under 3 minutes, just with the facts, boom, 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 boom. It could say, here's proof Abe won the election, or whatever you want to title it.
Mm.
If you want us to try to produce it, we can. But I think with what you
We can put
have,
something together. We can,
if
yeah,
you can put
like
that together,
today or
I'll
tomorrow, but
put it
we
on
can do it this
mine,
weekend.
put it on
Yeah,
Telegram. All the truthers that I know, I'll ask them to put it out there, because
yeah.
that's really what's going to impact. And then of course you give them a link to your website and they can dig in
Yeah.
farther, right? But
Well, and the video that we did that was or on my show, we did the show last Friday. It's an hour show, and we didn't have any commercials. I just changed the whole format. We just went nonstop. But then what Leo did is he cut it down to try to make it really, really tight for everybody to get it so that when you watch it, it really clicks in. I went through the longer version because your
that's
audience
great.
is pretty advanced.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
great.
figured they would catch on to it, and then they would see really they would catch the bigger picture with it
Mhm.
too. So again, if you go to the Rumble channel, what Rumble is Save My Freedom on Rumble, episode 231 is the video. I think it's 30 minutes, right? So that'll give you the condensed version. But I will talk to him. We'll get it done this weekend that we'll do a 3-minute video. But here's the call to action for Abe. Now, in his court case, which was interesting, the judge delayed signing his last appeal. Okay, by months and months and months. You probably guys heard that. Like the judge is not signing it or whatever. Well, he ended up signing whatever he needed to sign in September. So in an election contest, you have 6 months to file something. But it's 6 months from the time he signed it. So Abe has 2 months left to file what is called a
Okay.
Rule 60B in order to show new evidence that we need a retrial, a new trial, to then show the evidence to the judge, to then have them say, you know what? You won, dude. Okay, so we did the heavy lifting. And we put that, if you go on the Twitter, I want you to follow us on Twitter. Everything Home T is mine. Leo's is LCD Law 1. In the tweet we did, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, the days all run together, it outlines all this. It actually shows you the law. He underlines it. He put it together in a two tweet deal, and it says he's got. So, but we handed it to him. So, in order to prepare this, how long could that take? And then you file it. So, what we're asking is for the people all over the country share that particular tweet. You can make your comments on the top and push it out. You know, like you do the retweet with a quote. Tag Abe and say, Abe, for the people of America and Arizona, we're asking you. Can't say demand because even though he's not an elected official yet, but keep in mind the elected officials. What does the thing say right there? It says God, people, laws, government, corporation. When we turn that around, because all political power is inherent in the people, and if we start treating like that rather than worshiping them and putting them on pedestals, we wouldn't be in this situation. But since he's a candidate, and he won. So if everybody says, we're asking you to file Rule 60B, and here's all the information. Dude, you won. Now go get it. Because you said you're fighting for MAGA, you're fighting for Arizona, and you're fighting for America. Well, go be the Attorney General. And let's get the show on the road, dude. And then, if you're Attorney General, then let's look at all the rest of the information. Maybe you want to get some stuff going so we can overturn the whole damn thing, because that should have been done 15 months ago.
Well, the beauty about this, and this is why this is so important, I want everybody to grasp this. By the way, I generally give a guest 10 minutes.
Oh,
And
jeez.
that's all right.
That's
No,
awesome. I had no idea. You
but
didn't
I'm
tell me I had
saying
10 minutes.
this was so important that I decided to just run the show long.
Thank you.
So we have to clear here in a minute. But what I will say is the beauty about making it concise, if you can, and even in some document forms, we can now just put it in the hands of the people, so they'll know that this is very easy to do in all of the voting centers across the whole nation, right?
Yeah, now there's statutes, there's time frames of when you can get information. So some of that
Right.
might be past the point. The election contest might be past the point. But as far as this is why Arizona is so important. There's 3 counties that are going to determine the results of the 2024 election. Now, I'm going to bring you some bad news, guys. The 2024 election's already been determined. Trump has lost. If you don't believe me, I just showed you how a tip of the iceberg of how the elections actually operate. You lived through 2020. There's no way in hell that Trump lost the election. He lost the results. That's how it works. The results have to match the narrative. That's why you see the polls certain ways, the things that are going on. Oh, abortion.
No.
Okay, so they're using abortion. The narrative has to match the results. So they've already set it up. They've already taken care of the election. The whole country could vote for Trump. He will not win the results. It happened in 2020. Okay, now you're seeing how the actual election operates. So that's where now it's time you got to do something about it, because it's not about saving the country. You need to take it back. You can't save it, and you don't want to save what they've created. You want to take it back and restore the republic. So it's about holding them accountable, as I mentioned. But what we did on our website, it's called TakeBackAmericaPlan.us. But if you go to SaveMyFreedom.us, and once you're on the Substack, because you're now going to, because that's what all of this information that I've showed you, plus the stuff that has come out on all the tweets, I'm going to put it together in Substacks and start launching those. I just haven't had time yet, because every time I think I can step away from finding something, another whopper shows up, that I'm like, okay, is it better that I send this stuff and put the time into a Substack? Or now that I find another whopper, and if a lot of you think this is a whopper, to me at this point, this is like a baby chicken nugget, okay? So I'm keep finding whoppers, like triple whoppers and quadruple patty whoppers, right? So that's why I haven't had the chance to put all this into a Substack, but I'm going to. And then I'm going to start doing even short ones so you guys can have the information, so you can download it, and you can share it that way, and you can push it out on social media. But right now, we can only do one on Twitter because we don't have any support. I have no help. It's Leo and I. That's it, right? But I need to hire people to do, like the video you're talking about. If I had people to do the video, then I could say, do the video. Or if I had somebody that can help do the Substack, they could do that. If I had people that could, if you notice, I've done, in the past week, I've done one tweet that I had time to type myself. The other ones, I've just retweeted Leo stuff, because there's no time. Because if I'm playing on Twitter, I'm not finding even bigger and bigger whoppers to give to you guys, so we can get as much information out and get this done with and turn this country around, because we don't have a lot of time. You have 61 days until Super Tuesday, which is the first time you're going to have tabulators, voting machines used in one of the primaries. And it's going to be really hard to stop a runaway train when you do that, because I just showed you just a smidgen of how your elections work. You cannot have machines. The only way that you have any hope in order to have your vote matter and your vote actually be the true results is if you have no voting machines. And reason why Arizona is so important is because the 3 counties, Arizona being the largest county, American Corruption County, can change the vote. Again, I'm telling you right now, 2024 has already been decided. Trump does not win. If Trump does not win, you don't have a country anymore. You technically don't because you don't have elections and you don't have a border, but you will not be able to take the country back if you have voting machines in those key states. So how do we fix this, right? If Arizona is the #1 county, okay, and it's the county where I have all this shit for, right? Why don't we all pile on Arizona to hold them accountable, to get the information out? And we already have one-click email campaigns that we set up last fall to ban the voting machines. That one click takes less than 2 minutes a day. Emails go out to demand that they don't use the voting machines. They ban the voting machines here in Arizona. Goes out to all 215 legislators and administrators in Maricopa. Okay? And it covers the election directors for the state. So it hits the whole state of Arizona. And it tells them, we don't want no machines. Now, here's the problem with people that are actually active, whether they're here or any other state. There's not a lot of us. Okay? There's not a lot. Let's just say in each state, you maybe have 1,000 people that do the work, that do the stuff online. Okay? 1,000 people ain't going to make a difference in Arizona. 1,000 people ain't going to make a difference in another state. But if 20 states had their 1,000 people just in one thing that I'm asking people to do, clicking on these buttons, take less than 2 minutes a day. There's 2 campaigns. There's actually 3 on there, 2 that really, really matter when it comes to this. And you had 20 states using the 1,000 people just once a day, boom, boom, while you're taking a pee, just click on it, right? Now I got 20,000 emails showing up in their inboxes every day. That's going to get their attention. Now, the other thing that's part of the 5-point plan, and I know this is going to be tough for you guys, I'm going to make you some money today. I'm going to make you some money. I know you don't want any more money because apparently everybody's got enough. You're going to cut off the money to all the politicians, to all the candidates, to all of the PACs, to the 501c3s, to the 501c4s, and to any of the groups that have been talking about elections and have not provided any of this information. Because that is not a solution. All of the things, and when I said you had to do a 180, because you're going to turn back to God, you're going to take back your unconstitutional elections, and you are going to do a 180. Everything that we've all done for the past 3 years has not worked. Look at the elections. And it will not work for 2024. You literally need to do the opposite of everything that you've done because you cannot beat that. What I showed you today, you cannot beat that. And what I'm going to show you over the next month to 2 months, however long it takes to get this information to you, you can't beat that. You can't outvote that. You can't out-sneak it. You can't out-poll watcher it. You can't. Because you're not only dealing with machines, you're dealing with demons. You're dealing with people at all different levels of this, from people that are at the centers to the people that are higher up to the people that are all throughout the county, because somebody's doing this. And the machines, I just showed you what the machines are capable of. Okay? And then you have politicians here who, like Wendy Dodgers, I know she's a favorite of yours. She's probably your favorite one, Lewis. She's the best. Wendy's the best. Wendy Dodgers is the senator who's the chair of the elections committee here in the state of Arizona, Anarchy, Arizona. And in 2022, she's been in office since 2020. In 2022, she raised $3.3 million on election integrity. She refuses, because we've asked her, she refuses to investigate the elections in Arizona, but fundraises off of it each month, saying she needs $50,000 to hold these people accountable. A, that's her job. And B, we asked her to do it, and you know what she did? She blocked us on Twitter. This was last March when we went to the meeting with her as the speaker, where she could not contain herself from showing her emotions. And we were cool. We didn't say anything bad. We just asked her some questions. The next day, she blocked most of us on Twitter. This is somebody who raised $3.3 million. She asked for $50,000 a month because she's fighting for you. Again, what did I say the cost to acquire these documents were, Lewis?
Zip. Zero.
What are you using $50,000 for, Wendy Dodgers, and $3.3 million the year before when you're not even doing your job? Okay? Again, do not give anybody this money. And if you gave money to any of these people, you call them up and say, I want my money back. Because I got sold a bag of bullshit. You said you were going to do this. You didn't do it. Now, somebody who has nothing to do, this is not my job, right? I just was a judge and got pissed. So 15 months later, here I am, 20 pounds later, because Wendy Dodgers didn't do her job. So I've been sitting on my fat ass at my desk for 15 months. So I tell people, I said, the reason why my clothes don't fit is because Wendy Dodgers didn't do her job.
You could hand her 20 pounds.
Yeah, I can give her 20 or him. Or him
right.
20 pounds.
And
why don't she give me $1 or $2 of $1 million?
That's right.
Okay.
So, Michelle, on this program, the good news is I've been saying for probably a year now, where Arizona goes, the rest of the country
The whole
will follow.
country, everything matters on what happens here.
People have to understand this is the hub. So everybody out there, do exactly what Michelle's saying. Michelle, real quick though, we do have to go.
Yeah.
Just give your website again, because I believe your website also has your links to everything else, correct?
Yeah. So basically what I did is I turned the Substack, which is savemyfreedom.us, I turned that into a website. So the tabs are all at the top. Now on the upper left-hand corner, it says 5-point plan. I want you to go over there. There's videos, there's shows we did. It outlines it. There's 5 points. The key are, do not give them money. Ask for your money back. Hold them accountable. The Ban the Machines campaign is there. There's another tab that says Ban the Machines, which is the voting machines. You click on that, and that takes you all to the same place. Everything overlaps. If you want to watch the show, the Rumble is there. Plus, it's on Bright on TV. All the social media links, you click on that. And of course, the one thing I have to plug is Jesus Rocks, which is our awesome show where Lucy DeGrazia, who's an amazing host, she connects current events and the real truth with the truth, or the real history with the truth of God. And I encourage you guys to watch that. And you'll see that up on the tab. And I always promote those on my shows, which that is an incredible series because it's right up your guys' alley as far as the real history and the things that are going on. And then she sprinkles all the Bible and stuff and the gospel and you name it in there. But it's a lot of current events and a lot of history. And it's all the stuff that you talk about, which is why we were so impressed with Cages that I put Cages as part. It's one of our shows. So episode 97 is Cages on our series. And it's also in our election spot on. Yeah, I don't know. It's spot on.
And you guys go to watchcages.com for that. So Michelle's links are below. Guys, work for Arizona. It doesn't matter what country you're in. I mean, not what country, what state you're in. Work for Arizona, and because where Arizona goes, the rest of the country will follow. Michelle, I really appreciate you. All the work you do, thank you. The leaders in Arizona just blow me away. You guys are so passionate and kicking ass. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And then keep me updated, of course.
Much more to come.
Because I'll have to put some of this on my show. Thank you.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for the extra time, Lois. You're doing God's work too, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you. God bless. All righty, folks. So that's Michelle Swinick. What an amazing, amazing reveal, guys. Take it for what it's worth. Hopefully she can come up with that video, that short video, and we can get that everywhere because we'll put that on Twitter. We'll put it on True Social, Telegram, you name it. And we'll put it up on YouTube and get it taken down in 5 minutes. Anyways, guys, we have a lot more show to go, but we're gonna cut it loose right now. I'll move it to another day. Let's just play the outro video, Lisa. Guys, God bless you. I'm taking the weekend off. I believe Robert and Bruce will be on this channel that you're watching tomorrow. I may pop in. I have a lot of work to do. I'm behind on getting stuff to Lisa on rememberyouroath.com, which is epically important. So God bless everybody. Appreciate you. I hope you appreciate our hard work. And guys, just know we got this, but we the people have to ante up and kick in. Thank you. God bless.